guys, it's Michelle here. Welcome to another episode of the 2 Coffee Club. Today we're going to be talking about money.
Hey, I'm Lenae.
I'm Valerie.
So today we just want to really get it out there because people actually have a fear of talking about money, right?
Yes.
They sure do. Yeah.
I mean, people are scared to admit they haven't got in, scared to admit where they are actually financially. Some people lie, some people try to have debt to keep up with a particular lifestyle. There are some that just keep saying, I don't have it. So we just really need to get it out there to get rid of any myths surrounding money in order for you to be able to manifest it easily, right?
That's right.
Yep. And how common was it that, like you were saying, just even saying how much money you make, like say you work a job and you have salary of this much, why is that considered rude? Like if somebody was to ask you, how much money do you make? Like in society, that's like rude, you know?
That's right. I know, that's right. Because like some things are meant to be very private, like what's your religion, what's your political belief, what side, what politics do you vote for, and you know, how much money do you make, or how much rent do you pay, or all of these things were just the very taboo, and you didn't normally, you know, just go out of your way to mention them. I guess because we felt, you know, we didn't want people to know that much about our stuff.
Yeah, but like you got to ask why, like,
yeah.
Why?
Exactly. Because, you know, everybody, people, you know, just want people to think everything's hunky-dory, you know.
Wasn't it really, I found really interesting is on our Facebook page at 2 Coffee Club, everybody, if you want to join us, you put the post on there about what you grew up believing about money. And for me, it was, you have so many sayings about like money doesn't grow on trees. What were ones that you were brought up with?
Root of all evil. Money's the root of all evil. Right? Not made of money.
Oh, the not made of money. Like I didn't ask if you were made of money. I just asked for money, like from your parents.
Yeah.
I just want to go to the mall. I didn't ask if you were made of money. How is that relevant to the conversation?
Exactly. You know, because they just think
that you would feel bad for asking for it.
Yes.
You're made to feel bad about asking for money, but in actual fact, people say that, you know, money doesn't make the world go round. Well, it really does help.
Yeah, what world have you
get real here? It really does.
I mean,
help.
I'm on planet Earth where you literally have to use money for everything. So what planet does the person saying that live on?
Yeah, exactly. When I lived in the city, and you'd come out your door of your apartment house or your brownstone or whatever, and by the time you got, literally, you bought your coffee, you bought your paper, you bought whatever other stuff you needed to take to work with you or whatever. Before you even got to the subway, or the bus, you probably spent $20 just to go from A to B. You know, it was like that's life. So there's, you know, money just kind of, you're like, where did it go? But that's also the question that, you know, 20 brings up, or Neville brings up, that whole idea of where are you in relation, say, to $100?
Yes.
Are you here? Are you here with it? Is it up here? Or $1,000? You know, where do you stand in relationship to that amount of money? How does it make you feel? So I think that's important to what we're manifesting and how we feel about it.
I actually recently had kind of a revelation about that for myself, because like a few months ago, I was wanting to build my website for my business. And I went on there and, you know, I already had I had already bought the domain, so that was fine. I already went ahead and paid for that. But then when I went to see prices for my website, I was like $300. Like, I was offended. And then I had heard, I guess 20, or someone was saying, yeah, like, how do you feel next to $100? And I thought, if someone gave me $100, I didn't feel like that was a lot of money. But me putting out more than $100 was like, oh no, we really got to think about this. And so when I realized what I was doing, now I feel that way about $1,000. And I went ahead and dropped $300 on my website, and then dropped $900 to have someone get it perfect for me.
Right.
So there I am spending over $1,000 for the website that I freaked out over initially for $300.
You know, that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, it's like we have, you know, a lot of things we have to see as a kind of form of self-care. They're really reflections of us. We're manifesting this in order to get to the end, you know, to set the wheels, that the wheels are being set in motion for the end result that we want to live from. So it's if this money came up to spend to put, we don't bat an eye when we think of the car needs repair, and the car is going to need $1,300 worth of repair, and we may not like it, but we automatically do it, you know, or it needs a certain level of maintenance depending on the type of car it is. What if the transmission has to be replaced? That's a bunch of money right there. So the things that we tend to automatically think about as the necessities, when we see them in relation to ourselves, don't they suddenly seem like, oh my God, it's this luxury item that seems like it's unobtainable, or not, that we're somehow should be kind of almost depriving ourselves of it as if we didn't deserve it or something like that.
I think coming from that, I think it's a type of money guilt, because you're guilty about spending it on yourself when you know. I mean, especially as a mother to 4 kids, I used to have serious guilt issues about spending anything on myself, even say 50 quid, which is probably around $75, 50 quid to get myself some new clothes to go and have my nails done or something. I would then be racking up thinking, but I could be that would pay for 3-4 meals a week. Or what if the kids need a coat? What if they need a pair of trainers? And I'd have money guilt about spending money on myself. Well, I really don't have that issue anymore. I actually, in order to get rid of that one, I changed my state by desensitizing myself and going and making me spend money on myself.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very important, you know, because if you're not feeling good about yourself, you know, and it makes you feel better about yourself to have your nails done or your spa treatment or whatever, that's so fantastic. You know, it gives you the uplift of the self-esteem, or how you feel when you just look at yourself and people compliment you, wow, you look so rested, were you away, or something like that, you know. So I think it's a very necessary thing.
I do.
You know, all based on what your mood is.
I think when it comes to money, you really have to, it is really about, we go back to, it doesn't mean anything, and about the awareness of that little inner voice going on in your mind, and being aware about how you talk about money to yourself, because money is this taboo subject that we don't talk about to others realistically. We have to then go back to our within and listen to what we're doing. Like I used to we talked about, I used to have this fear about the post coming through the letterbox. Had a bill come today, I was like, all right, that needs paying. And it was absolutely no biggie anymore. Whereas I would dread, and I would leave the letter on the side and not open it for days because I was scared of what might be in the letter. And there are so many people out there that are like that are actually scared, that live in that poverty conscience that we were talking about. And I've been there, I know. I've been there not too long ago.
Yeah. And as proof that you can overcome it. And it doesn't take money to get you to overcome it. It's just you have to realize what you're saying.
Yeah.
What your state is that you're freaking living from, and move from it, you know?
There's a Neville quote that I've got here that says, don't condemn yourself for the state into which you have fallen. If you don't like it, move into another. And it is that simple. People think this is hard because they're used to things being hard. They are used to struggling. And if we can actually, you at home, if you can actually be aware that this is easy, and if you change your state from, oh, this is so hard, to this is easy, then now move.
Right. And wasn't the other Neville quote about if $100 was a dry leaf and you were in a boundless forest, how would you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of, we have it all around us, and we think that we're separate from the ability to, we may think we're separate from the ability to create or manifest, because they are two separate things, to manifest wealth or money, or a steady stream of money coming in, or multiplying money. But we don't necessarily have, we may not always have the image or the language that we want to kind of cement that, you know, because we need something that makes it feel more, if we're doing imaginal. And one of the things people will do is they will make their money goal too vague. Like the person who said to 20, I want to be swimming in money or drowning in money or something like that. Or, you know, I want so much money, I can't even believe it, or whatever it is. It's like ridiculous amounts of money. But when people put it in these kind of hyper sounding, it slightly vaporizes and vague, and it's just like, you know, there was a king who had so much money he didn't even know how much money he had, kind of thing. But you really want it to be in something relatable. If it's that vague, there's no way you're ever going to, what can you feel? That's not, if anything, you can relate. Can you, you know, if this is about feeling with your senses, or that you're hearing someone congratulate you, or you're feeling what it's like to hold the money, or open your bank statement and be happy when you see the bank statement, you know, or open your mobile app and you're looking at it and you're holding your, you know, your computer, your thing in your hand, or your iPad, and you're looking and going, oh, wow, your eyes are jumping out of your head, you know, and you're dancing. But you have to have something that has that feeling of actuality, because if it's all this, I'm drowning in money, you're not gonna, you know.
No, they're gonna be drowning, they're gonna be choking, and they're going to die.
Exactly.
So it's not gonna work.
Yeah, you don't want that.
It's really all about the naturalness, because people, when manifesting, and at first I had to shift my beliefs, really, because I used to think it was hard. Well, how can I relate? How can I actually manifest the feeling that I've never felt before? And actually, all you need to do is make it natural about you and about normal events that happen in your day. So how would you feel not having to consider when you're going food shopping, and the person says, oh, that's $175 or pounds, that your heart doesn't start beating and jumping? How would it feel to just hand over your card and just be and there be abs and you go, and
Yeah.
you just get on with
Or
your day?
say, wow, that's better than I thought.
Yeah, wow,
That
is
literally
that
happens
all?
to me at Hobby Lobby all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just say, is that all?
And that you
Yeah.
also don't feel that when you go back home, say you live with somebody, you have your spouse, your partner, whoever, that you don't have to go back home thinking, how can I justify how much I just spent when I tell him or her that we spent $250 today at the store, you know?
Oh
And
my
I've
God.
even seen that with people who, you know, where money is not that much of an issue, but there's still that sense of, honey, I you know, I spent a bunch today,
that
you know,
guilt.
that kind of the guilt, that
The guilt.
slight edge of, yeah, what are they going to think, you know, and watching the budget. So, you know, what maybe the thing is, if you had money, you would not have, what would be missing would be the sense of having to justify what you spent, the sense of guilt or fear in telling the, you know, that the person has this sort of authority figure relationship where they're going to be frowning upon what you spent. That
you know, this happened really recently. A friend of mine wanted to buy something, and because she wasn't working, she felt guilty for wanting to spend. It was for a course that she wanted to do, and she felt very guilty. And so she asked me if I would pay for the course for her out of my PayPal account, and she would give me the cash so that he didn't see it.
Do we have the same friend? This literally is happening to me.
Really? And I'm like, just
laundering.
What are you lying for?
Except it's my Venmo account, not PayPal. But yeah,
that's so funny.
You're laundering.
I just said to her, why don't you just imagine your? I said, why don't you just imagine your husband saying, "Good for you."
Yeah, exactly.
There's a meme going around that I saw. Well, I've seen it for years, but it's like, you know, it's making a joke about the Amazon packages, like hiding the Amazon packages outside the house so that your husband doesn't know. And yeah, like that makes me laugh because why? And it comes down to that guilt again. Like you should not feel guilty.
Well, it's kind of like that comes out of, you know, almost like AA, 12-step, where people sometimes who would be hiding their bottles of alcohol, or the cigarettes, or the carbs, the sugary things, the chocolates, whatever, that they're hiding. So that same mentality as that it's a naughty, you know, thing I shouldn't be doing, but I can't help myself, and, you know, because I shouldn't be doing it. So there's all this kind of guilt around that whole thing.
That's such a great point. Totally. Because it actually just made me notice something about myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like right here, right now. So here's like live action, how this works. What you said, that feeling guilty and hiding, is the exact reason that I refuse to have a joint bank account with anybody ever again. And I've been in a relationship for over 5 years, almost 6 years this year. And no, our bank accounts are separate. Because I do with my money as I please, and I don't want to hear it. And that is me assuming that he's going to have something to say about it.
Yes, that's right. It's already going in with the assumption.
Exactly.
Or the belief.
And it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, how happy would we be when we look at our bank account and our money's together? Like, we'll be like, damn, like this is even better.
Well, yeah. Then you start to do that. Now, that's not to say that if you wanted to, and I'm not a professional financial advisor, but I've seen articles where people who have advised couples who want to maintain the joint bank account, but also to have their own private attitude money account or whatever, you know.
So you could have your attitude money in another one.
Exactly. Yeah. Then your own savings, your own checking, whatever, just for your own stuff. Mm-hmm. So nobody has to go, well, I can spend up to this month. Oh, that's the other one. I think I can spend up to this before he or she is going to notice it's missing.
One friend, because she doesn't work, her other half is so controlling over money. She has a weekly allowance that allows her to buy bread or milk if it runs out. And we're talking about the essentials. He controls all of the money, and this is what, and so she feels lost. And so I said, create your own money.
Yeah.
There are so many ways. She's simply, when you talk about money, you've got guilt, you've got anxiety, you've got fear, but you've also got victim mode.
Yes, victim to circumstance. Yeah. And like as you know, if you're a stay-at-home mom watching this and you feel like that is your only job, is to stay at home with the kids, and your husband or wife is out making the money, and you don't feel like you are authorized to swipe your card like they are because they bring it in, you bring in that money. You are the wealth creator right here, not your spouse.
And it simply just takes you to decide.
Yep.
And stay tuned, because every episode we will show you how to do that.
That's right. And you know, that's the other thing. And here's the other thing is, once that ball starts, who knows what other things start to go along with it, as that, you know, stone starts to gather more moss. You know, that's exactly what comes along with that package. So, you know, when there's that kind of holding pattern in relationships, there could be a lot of other threads there going on as well. But whatever it is, there's certainly trust issues, and then she feels she can't trust herself or whatever. So there's just, you know, a lot of things because when somebody's like that, it's like, you know, well, if you're fully functioning, you should, you know, why not be able to make those decisions or do them together, or somebody, as opposed to somebody controlling and just eking out enough or feeling that. I mean, there was a time when women typically stayed home and sometimes would have to, you know, they were given an allotment or whatever, even, you know, and it wasn't much money. I mean, even as recently as like the 60s or whatever, was a very, you know, what we would think of today might be hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars was less than $100, maybe to last a month for somebody. It was very little money, you know, and it was, you know, so people would have to kind of, you know, who wanted to save would have to kind of, you know, siphon it away a little bit here and a little bit there, you know. So, and people still do that probably, I'm sure, today, when they have to. If you have like you're with your controlling husband there in the situation, not your husband, but the person's husband. So, yeah, indeed.
Yeah, and that's actually what I brought up earlier about keeping separate bank accounts. That's where that came from. Being in a marriage where I was tracked by everywhere I swiped the debit card, and I was questioned why I went out to lunch one day, but I wasn't questioned when I was buying groceries, buying diapers, you know, doing the essentials. And I wasn't a stay-at-home mom. Like this was when I was in the military. We were both active duty military. I bring in my own freaking paycheck, but he had that control over it even then. So I can't even imagine what it would feel like to be reliant on that income and then stepping out and using the money, right? So I think just back on that, you know, I guess because it's me and you, Michelle, have a friend, you know, for that, look at that. Look at what you're imagining about the situation financially and overcome that. just say, I can either bring in my own income or he is not going to trip out, you know, go whichever way with it.
So that's creating the scene. I mean, that's the other thing when they sit down and they do their imaginal work on it and they set up the scene. They can have a very simple scene about, you know, whatever it is that frames that as something that there's money flowing in, that they feel, you know, or not in a vague way, but that they might be looking at their bank balance and being very happy or celebrate having a lovely dinner together or something like that. So
yeah,
so there's lots of ways to show that. We'll be talking about that. So
I think
Michelle,
when we talk about creating scenes, first of all, the women and men at home, you've got to decide. You have to. Imagination is the very beginning, and as soon as you make that decision, your imagination can then decide what it does want rather than what it doesn't want. And if you feel like you are being held back when it comes to money, you now know that you are the operant power and you get to choose how much and what it is you want to do, so long as you can decide what that desire is and what wish it is you want to be fulfilled. As soon as you know that and you can feel it, and it will manifest.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I'm not telling you it's going to manifest like that, but with the naturalness of the feeling, you will manifest the journey that you wish to take when it comes to wealth.
And all you're wanting is the feeling anyway. So if you get to a place where you feel like it's fine for me to be who I am in regards to money, then that's all that matters.
That's right. That is all that matters, because you know, you have really stepped into your ability. But that's the other thing, is that a lot. I mean, some people, you know, they start very early on. They do entrepreneurial things. They fail a whole bunch of times, and they keep getting up. They keep getting back in it. And then there's, you know, the larger proportion of people who think it's always this just plodding day to day, and their minds are sort of set to work those particular tracks. But that may be because they just, you know, but once they sort of encounter something that shows them there's another possibility, then that's when you start to see really, really dramatic changes. That's when you really notice.
That's a really quick example maybe each of us can give, not a scene. I mean, I'm talking about maybe just a short congratulatory thing. So you're out with your friend and you say, oh, it's all right, I'll get this, because you can. So if they just imagine that they're out having a coffee or lunch with a friend and they say, oh, it's all right, I've got this, because within you then know that you have. So all you have to imagine is the feeling of you saying, it's all right, I've got this, and you then paying for it. It's that simple. Or if you want, you can have champagne glasses chinking, or I mean, what I'm trying to think of some short things to give people to use at home.
Well, right. I mean, that can be one. Or it can even, you know, I think too, it can even spill over into something like if somebody wants a new car. Remember, we're not looking at the car, it's the feeling of the ownership of the car. So it could be congratulations on becoming the owner of the new, whatever the car is, you know, the type of car or whatever you wanted, you know, and I think that plays off of that. Or congratulations on buying, you know, that I bought, you have just, you know, you bought the house and that you're the homeowner, and it's something you never thought you could afford to do, but that you were able, you know, as the home. So I think all these things really, really play off each other. I know for me, that homeowner state is very powerful, you know, as I'm going into that on my own for the first time. I grew up in city apartments that you rented, and, you know, the few times, you know, or that I was in once a condo thing, but my partner at the time, before we were married, you know, it was his really. So that sort of is off, you know, like a side thing for me. So that wasn't me directly.
Yeah.
But in this case, this is all me. So that feeling is, it's all part and parcel of that state of wealth flowing, that creating something that has a financial aspect to it. So it could be that, and being, you know, congratulations, you got the house, or you got the financing, or whatever.
Yeah, and you imagine somebody
you know,
saying that to you.
yes, and that congratulation, you know, is really key, you know, or that you're going to travel, because travel, you got to spend some money to travel. So if you have places you want to go, you know, maybe you're writing a note to people and saying, hey, you know, or taking the picture, you know, feel yourself smiling in this wonderful scene where you are. Where, you know, in Hawaii or in Costa Rica, or someplace where people love to go, Mexico, everybody loves to go to Mexico, you know, someplace like that, or something, you know, exotic, or someplace traditional, but that you were able to afford the cruise to Alaska. So you're on the cruise, you know, that's a big one for a lot of people.
Or you imagine when you've returned home and you're talking to somebody and said, oh, that holiday was brilliant. We did this.
Yeah.
So that the wish fulfilled comes after, because sometimes people think in the middle and then their desire isn't fulfilled. So if say it is the cruise or the holiday, they could be going through their pictures reminiscing, oh, do you remember when we did that?
Exactly. And so it's for the reminiscing is wonderful. You know, I mean, you can even feel that even before you go, like Neville did that, where he had the nostalgia for Barbados, even, you know, you already envisioning going back and then being nostalgic that he had just left. And so that all came up. So there's all those different and relatable ways that people can feel that. So I think that's very, very important. You know, and simple, you know, it's true.
Yeah, simple. And I think that is what is the most important point of this whole thing, is make it simple and make it something natural. Like we talked about earlier, wealth to me is a total different natural feeling than Donald Trump, say. You know, I am not on that level, but I am perfectly fine where I am. And, you know, moving up from that, because it's natural for me to progress from where I am instead of aspiring to be on his level like tomorrow.
Well, that's right. And this and natural, and no sense of struggle. You see, because that's the other thing. People build a sense of struggle into a lot of things, even simple things. We tend to want to make it complicated. We tend to want to think there's struggle because we're conditioned to believe that struggle is a natural part of what we're doing, and that's not the case. It's just not the case. So when we lose that idea and we wake up to, you know, we wake up to the I am state, and we understand the law and how that works, then that sense of struggle it really falls away. And if it comes back, you know, you just kind of get quiet and reposition yourself so that you actually feel it come back. And so it doesn't have to be as difficult, because the mind has this weird tendency to want things to be, you know, we like challenges, and challenges can be great, you know, in certain circumstances. You know, if you're exercising and you want to try something difficult, or you're in a competitive race or something, we want those kind of challenges. You're climbing a mountain, but it doesn't need to bleed off into everything. Like that it's hard. And
the money is easy. Money is easy. We're going to wrap up now.
Yes.
Because we've now got to pop over to C20, all three of us. But listen, everybody at home, work on changing your state and start listening to how you are talking to yourself about money, and use some of the simple tools within this video, and join us next week for some more.
Yes, and if you have questions, shoot us a comment.
Email. Join our group.
Join our
Right.
Facebook group, 2 Coffee Club, and our email address is 2coffeeclub@gmail.com.
See you soon.
See you guys. Bye.